Right, welcome back to Just Local. I have a very special guest yet again, one that we've been very keen to get in the early stages of this podcast launching. And I'm sure a lot of people will recognise this person because she's probably greeted you and made you very, very welcome to Sixways Stadium over the years. The place has gone through a few tough times, and obviously had some great times as well. And I've got with me Laura Napper from Sixways Stadium. Is that the official title now? What do we say?
Yeah, it's from Sixways.
Sixways, yeah. Sorry. And it's got the new logo as well. and Laura and I have just had a little chat before we started, just to kind of say what's the format, and it's just a natter. We'll just cover off a few bits. Obviously got a few questions, bits and pieces. Before we get into all of it, talk me through your history. Where were you before Sixways? When did it all begin for you?
Can I remember a life before Sixways, Matt? That's the question. It's been a long time. So my life, if you like, started out in the hotel industry, actually. So I used to work for a company called Chorus and Regal Hotels way back when I was a very young, fresh out of college. Fell into a world of hospitality, hotels, travel trade, actually. So did a lot of groups and tours. Yeah. But it was a really big brand. So we had like 80 properties in the UK, 3 international. And I just found a love for hospitality, which I think anybody that knows the hospitality industry, you have to love it to be in it, because you just can't fake it. You just can't fake it. And I moved around from into hotels, then into a hotel group called Brook Hotels. Used to have 3 West Midlands properties that I used to work for. And then my journey at Sixways actually started back in 2009 when I joined the events team to focus on the conference and event side of the business. So they were in the Premiership then. Worcester Warriors had been promoted. It was an established rugby club. They'd already started doing conferencing as events, and they had the West Stand and the South Stand of boxes, but the East Stand had just been built.
I was going to say, that's the Slick Stand it was called back then.
That was it, the Slick System Stand. Yeah. So that was built 2008, officially opened in the January of 2009, and I joined in the May 2009.
Always been a Warriors fan, were you?
Always, yes. Worcester. So I always tell people my journey with rugby is my granddad was Welsh, so rugby was in our family. Yeah. And if you wanted to be with the family and not sat by yourself on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, you watch rugby. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that's my kind of family.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect. So I remember the stand on that side before the Slick System Stand arrived. And it was a bit of a windy place up there. It was almost like a temporary stand, wasn't it, for the most part?
Gosh, I think. It was, absolutely. And I can actually remember as a child, so my dad was a big rugby fan in Worcester, so we used to be at the rugby all the time. And Maz, who was a landlord in town that had Keystones and the Pheasant and other places, he used to do the bars at Sixways back then. This is when I'm talking, I was probably like 10 years of age, so this is a very long time ago.
Yeah. 11 years ago.
Yeah, not long at all, Matt. But no, it was all open, all windy, but it was really good. Sixways, and I think Worcester Warriors has been a huge part of certainly everybody from my generation and kind of my family, big part of growing up in Worcester.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's a central part in the community. We won't go to the testing times yet. We'll stay with the positivity. Yeah. So you joined in 2009. So is that like Cecil Duckworth prime time? This is when really he made all these things happen, didn't he? Which again, I'd get goosebumps talking about it. He was different class, wasn't he?
There's nobody like Cecil in this world. Cecil was unique in every way. He so it was very much the Cecil era. So Cecil and Kathy Leather.
Yes.
So who'd done a fantastic job. So I worked directly for Kathy when I first started, which was really an amazing time for me, and really lucky to be brought into that. I always say to people that when I joined Worcester Warriors, I was the new girl for a really long time. People didn't leave. It was really hard to get a job there, and it genuinely, they just didn't leave because it was such a great place to work with such great people. Yeah. And I think I was a new girl for like 7 months. Because I got forced to make the tea a lot.
Did you? Oh, that's where I was going to go next. So you've gone from Chorus Regal, you've obviously had hotel chains and all those bits and pieces. What level did you join in at Sixways then? What was your...
So at Sixways I went in as a conference and events sales executive. So I went in working with the events team, which was brilliant. So Kathy, who ran the whole commercial side. On the events side we had David Booth, for everybody in Worcester who know, God bless her soul, Laura Barder, who literally just... the best team ever.
Yeah.
Those two. It was just the three of us to start.
Was it? I've got a feeling that if you kind of mention all the names, Leighton, all these kind of Jack when he was there, you've got all these people.
Davey O'Hagan.
Yeah, exactly. They're all celebrities, aren't they? In terms of like the support and the way they made people feel. Because Premiership rugby in our home city is and was perfect. And hopefully it's going to come back. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, so you started in that area. Was it busy from day one? Because you had like Chris Latham, Rico Geert. We had some amazing names playing for us.
Really busy from day one. So match days were busy. We all worked everything. So although we focused on the non-rugby side of the business from a sales perspective, we all worked match days. We all worked event days. It was a real family. The Warriors family is true. It doesn't matter which generation of the Warriors family I've been at. I just don't think you can join that place and not feel like part of the family. No. Takes its peaks and its troughs, of course. But you have to have that family ethos. Everyone looks after each other. If somebody's struggling in another area, you help them. So match days were always really fun and vibrant. Lots of familiar faces, lots of people wanting to support the rugby, wanting to support the business. I mean, joining in the era of Chris Latham was huge. He was a huge celebrity at Worcester. And then not forgetting people of that era, which we had like Johnny R, Chris Pennell was coming through, Craig Gillies, Adam Black, Chris Forte. There were some really, really good names around the time, and they were all characters in themselves. They did an awful lot off the pitch as well to support kind of the non-rugby and the events and things that we used to do. So we used to do some really cool events. Kathy obviously created like the Pink Tie and Tiara Ball. So there was some staples that went into that Sixways calendar, which were really good. Amazing.
So I'm sorry, we are going to have to go there, but I have to do this because I need to throw some praise at you as well, because we all, as fans and supporters, obviously were disappointed when the rugby had to stop and gutted for the players and everything that went on. But you guys didn't give up, did you? You kind of kept the place going, despite really probably not knowing who's paying what and how it's going to work. So can you just talk me through, if it's not too hard to talk through, just a period of that time? And
what happened when the lights went out?
That's it. Yeah, there we are. There's the name of the podcast.
There you go, when the lights went out. Well, to be honest, the lights literally went out. So leading up to the administration in 2022 was a dark time. So once we knew that we were only going one way, which was into administration, and as much as that needed to happen, were just starting the 22-23 season of the Premiership. And I think now looking back, hindsight's a beautiful thing, isn't it? And having lived it and been through it, you kind of look back and think, gosh, should we have done that or shouldn't we? But at the time, we all felt and were led to believe the administration was a good thing. It needed to happen because of the situation the business was in. But we would literally be like dipping in and dipping straight back out. So we had to keep the team playing because if they didn't play those first two fixtures, they'd have been disqualified from the league. Now, although in terms of the regulations, to go into administration meant they would have been relegated at the end of the season, it wouldn't have mixed up all the Premiership fixtures. They would have been able to play the whole season had we had a owner or somebody to come in and fund it and support it. So the heads of department at the time, Beth Reeder, who we all know, my colleague, and myself and other heads of department at the time got all the staff together. We'd come through August where we'd been paid 65% of our salaries, and that was it. Nothing else. So we're now at the beginning of September. We've got our first home game of the Premiership season and we've got the staff together. We can't pay you, but can we get this game on? We've got the players a game, the analyst is game. We can get the internet turned back on for one day for Hawkeye because you can't physically, against the minimum standard, you can't play without that. So Beth set up a ticket office in her mum's kitchen. We managed to borrow everything we could to put on a minimum offering of retail, so bars, some kind of
match
food,
match
day experience. We couldn't do full hospitality, which everybody knew. We communicated to everybody, but we could get the game on. But we could get the game on safely and being fully compliant at a reduced capacity. A bit like COVID. We kind of stripped back to what we could do in COVID. We managed to do 2 match days like that with no money other than what we had in the safe. And obviously, paying everybody out of what was generated in the game for first aid services and things like that. Security, everything that we needed. And without the support of those people, we wouldn't have been able to do it.
No.
And then after that second game, it was announced that we were going into administration and literally everything was turned off. So the Monday morning came, administrators were on site, Beth gets a call And there was 3 of us called back in initially, which was Beth, Janae, who was our health and safety head of stadium ops, and myself. And it was a bit like quite nerve-wracking, actually. I expected to see like Grim Reapers, because that's what you think of administrators, isn't it? Like they've just come to ruin the world, really. Everything's dark. They're just like the Grim Reaper outfit. And they were actually really lovely. They were really lovely to us, very, open, wanted to get all the staff in, wanted to talk everybody through the process. But it was that time of year, it was September, end of September. They knew that we had a fireworks event coming up. They knew that we had specific annual events in the calendar, things like the Modus Cup, which had been at Sixways. I think it was its 15th year that year. So we've just had the 17th.
17th, yeah.
And they wanted to see if we could get those things running. A little bit to keep it in the shop window, I think, because when you first go into administration, they wanted to see, can they keep it going as a going concern whilst they're looking for potential buyers and interest. It was a really unknown time. We had no internet. We had no phone lines. Literally, we had nothing. No. So all the methods that people had to contact us weren't working. No. We managed to get 3 email licenses turned back on. It was a whirlwind, like everything you think of, just simple things. We had every hurdle. Yeah. So just getting an email account, our booking system, we managed to keep live. But of course, because there was about a 1 week to a 7 day, so 1 working week, 7 day period that we were completely dark and nobody could contact us and all contracts were void. So a year's worth of business from the non-match day side was completely lost off the books. So about 1.8 million just lost.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. And then, of course, we want to get going again. So from an administrative perspective, we couldn't contract any business more than 8 weeks in advance because the administrators couldn't guarantee to us that they could keep the doors open. Of course, it all depended on how the process went, if buyers were interested. Yeah. And it's a big site to fund.
Of course.
So what people sometimes don't realise is, the events business in itself is really good and it's profitable. Events are, it's a great business. It pays for itself. But actually, that's just one little department that used to be 1 out of 6 revenue generating departments that used to fund the compliance, the health and safety, the insurance, the fixed wire testing, all those things that have to happen in such a big site, whether it's being used or not. So whether there's one person in the stadium or 12,000 people,
some costs remain anyway.
Some costs remain. So it's in your best interest you've got to try and make that back. And there's no way that we could have been cost neutral straight away. Just it's physically impossible.
No, it's a lot going out, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Blimey, just hearing it all back, God, all that you went through, but I guess these are the kind of moments when the leaders really step up and they step forward. And you talked about the Warriors team earlier, and yes, you were talking about the Kathy Levers, the Janaes, but the security teams, like they probably had to just take it on the chin for a little bit just to make sure that you were able to deliver. Because I went to those last 2 home games, I went to the away game as well at London Irish, and you kind of like felt, and the boys' performance in that last match at home, I think it was Newcastle at home, like it was just, it's all out there now. Like let's do it, and the players. Similarly, financially, they were really struggling as well. When they weren't getting what they were expecting and what they built their lives upon.
And the course for the players, it was the start of the season, so everyone's picked their squads. Yeah. So, a lot of the players...
And other players have been contracted in, so it's
exactly. It was career ending for some, which was really heartbreaking because if they couldn't get a spot, everybody had already filled their salary caps. Yep. What do they do? And we've got to remember with players, it's pretty brutal. They're quite conditioned people, especially on a Premiership level. They're told when to train, they're told when to eat, they're told what to wear even every day. Yep. So to suddenly be catapulted into a world with nothing and nobody and to find your way through it, I mean, luckily, they're fairly intelligent people. They do very well, but it's quite a drastic change for them. Mentally, it's pretty challenging.
Yeah. Let's go back to some positives. So you've reeled off names, and I know all their faces as you said them, but there's a couple of unsung heroes that I can still hear haven't been mentioned. But who else in your team would you like to mention at the moment? Like who?
Oh gosh,
I mean, from the current or the past? Like
honestly, I mean, right now we operate on a core team of 16. Yeah. When we first started coming through the administration, we built it up to about a team of 6, and then it's from 6 to 16 over the last 18 months. Yeah. And those 6 in particular were people that we retained. It goes without saying for anyone that's been to Worcester, for some people, like our caretaker, Lee, honestly, anyone that doesn't know, lock up Lee in Worcester. Well, I don't know where you've been. You've been under a rock. He's a legend. But for him, it's not just his job and his life that he loves. His son works there.
Yeah.
And it's his home. He's our caretaker. He lives on site.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a time where, because of the administration, why insurances were being sorted out, we had to move Lee out, which was really distressing for him, because he's obviously panicking about his home, but he's been a trooper throughout. He's been there. He's the most reliable person on the world. You can't always tell everything that he does, but you know that it just wouldn't work without him. It would fall apart without him. But literally, we've still got the ticket office ladies with us.
I was going to say ticket office ladies.
Oh, the ticket office ladies. I mean, where does Worcester Warriors exist without the tolls?
Yeah,
so, albeit there's not an operating ticket office at the moment, albeit for events, they're multi-skilled and they've been utilised in other areas. So Justine, for anyone that's been into site, you'll see her on reception. She's still got that friendly face waiting to tell everybody and cheer on about the past and hopeful future. So we've got the tolls with us, the maintenance team. From the F&B side and the event side, we've managed to keep some of the guys there. But honestly, all of them deserve a mention. I could reel off all of their names. Yeah. Every single person that has been in the business throughout this last 2 years, it's been challenging, but actually now we're coming through the other side of it. We can look at the reward. It's taught us great resilience. Yeah. It's really bonded us together. Everybody that's there is there because they want to be there and because they are fighting towards a future and what they want to see it achieve in the future. They've all had an option to leave if they wanted to.
No, I can't blame them for not going. I think we're kind of feeling like we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely. We can see it. We're almost at it.
It's still a bit far out, but no, so there's lots to go through. So administrators agreed a deal to someone. We won't talk through names and stuff, agreed a deal to someone, and then that's now changed. You have new ownership. Yeah. Let's talk about that bit. Yeah,
so absolutely. Look, Beth and I would say to each other throughout the last 2 years and throughout working with the administrators, every time you didn't think it could get any worse, it did. And it's not through, it's the situation, it's circumstantial, it's fluid. I hate those comments because when people used to say it to us at the time, we'd be like, oh, all we ever hear about is a fluid situation. But actually it is. Every day you think, oh, I've got some light at the end of the tunnel, it's getting better. And then suddenly that light's put out really quickly. Yeah. And there's another challenge and there's something else.
So sorry for saying light at the end of the tunnel.
No, it's okay.
This is actually bright,
this is good light. This is great. This is like a warm, twinkly light. It's really nice. But no, now we're in a really great pace. So putting aside the past and the turbulence of the last 2 years, I like to say we're now in calmer seas. Mm-hmm. As of April this year, we became Junction 6 Limited as our trading entity. Yep. So Mr. Christopher Holland, who actually has been in the background, really, without him, if I'm honest, summer of last year, Sixways, no word of a lie, would have been Harris-fenced and derelict by now without him.
So he kept it going as well.
He kept it going. Yep. He did what nobody else would do. He took the risks off his own back, and he kept us going up to a point where, you know, he will often say, I don't think he ever intended to end up with the rugby club. He kind of fell into it. Yep. But he's fallen into it, and he's a man of honour, so he's true to his word. Yep. And he just saw the potential and saw, I think, the people behind that, and
we saw you guys like he had faith. Yeah, no doubt.
He definitely did.
I can't blame him.
And I think he's quite attached now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
I think he's a bit attached.
Is he now more Warriors than Wasps? Or?
Oh, bless him. I can't possibly answer that. But he's doing the best he can for us. And without him, we wouldn't be there. But Junction 6 was great because, again, we go back to those fundamentals of administration, which is a circumstance of administration, like having your own bank account that's set up in your own business name, having the correct kind of merchant IDs and email accounts, fundamental parts of just setting up a business that you would have. Yeah. We didn't for 2 years, and we had to kind of find those workarounds and find ways of where we could trade, which we, compliantly, but of course not with the right business, not as our own business. Yeah. It was always through somebody else.
So we'll get into talking about rugby in a minute, but events-wise,
yes,
you're just on the 9th day of a back-to-back series, aren't you? So
Sixways has been absolutely rocking the last couple of weeks.
Which, let's be honest, it might have had some quiet months, but it's kind of been made up for in this last kind of month or so.
Oh, gosh.
So fireworks that took place.
Fireworks went off with a bang.
Well. Yes, of course. Yeah.
With a great sponsor. Don't know if you've heard of them.
I might have seen them around. They don't get their branding out there much.
No, it's really subtle, isn't it? Yeah. No, it was brilliant. And it was great to have you back with us for fireworks because it wouldn't be the same without you. It literally was our first big event to the public. So although actually we've been open the whole time. So the one thing about Sixways is we haven't shut the doors. Other than that 1 week, we haven't shut the doors. It's taken a really long time to build that trust back up in the corporate community, but we got there. And earlier this year, conferences in particular really started to kind of increase those volumes again, which was brilliant. But the public, the general market, I'll still even now hear people say, I didn't know Sixways was open. So fireworks was a huge event for us because it was a huge event out in our local area. Yeah. It was well publicised. It covered a lot of ground, sold out really quickly to the capacity we could do this year. And it was really exciting. That was our first kind of real family feel event as well, to get families back into the stadium. Yeah. So it started. It was
a real win. And you, as you said, you have been open. So I know that I see the floodlights on most evenings when you drive past. So there's been football, like 6-a-side going on or 5-a-side going on the pitches. You've got Worcester Raiders have been playing there. You've got Worcester City ladies team's been playing there.
We have coaching as well. So we've got Matt Talley coaching. So he's got his kids groups. We've got the Football Development Centre. And these guys are they have the really little kids that are doing all their skills and drills. And it's just really heartwarming to watch. So it's lovely. But there is something going on every night of the week on that stadium and in the indoor centre. You mentioned this last week, we've had the ACE finals, which is the RFU 2-day tournament. So we had 4 games each day. We went into our first big weekend of Christmas parties with 500 covers a night for our Rewind the Decades. Who doesn't love a bit of 80s and 90s? Everybody
definitely
does.
The audience that like Warriors,
definitely. The Midlands, I think, as a whole, just love the 80s and the 90s. Then we had the Modus Challenge Cup, 17th year.
So we won't talk about that.
No, well... Kings won again.
It was a really good. It was a great game and well hosted as well. Like it's lovely. I mean, yes, I'm a rugby fan, but it's just lovely being upstairs again and seeing all the people in the crowd and being around the place is just ace. Absolutely.
We had the Border Shield for the first time on Monday. So that was really cool. And
that was helping up because. I mean, the one thing that people need to realise, your pitch doesn't get closed very often. You can put most events on, especially with, unfortunately, the flooding that happens. But you stepped in a very, very short space of time to be able to host the Borders Cup. Is that right?
Yes, definitely. And unfortunately, weather, climate change, the weather at the moment, it's for, if you haven't got an all-weather pitch, there's just no guarantee through the winter months and the flooding and everything that we've experienced. I think just in 1 week we've gone through all seasons, haven't we? Where it went really mild, then we had snow, and then floods again. And gosh, you just can't. Our pitch is an all-weather pitch, so we are really fortunate with that. However, it comes with its challenges. So even though we haven't had elite level rugby playing with us for the last 2 years, we still had to go through our World Rugby certification on the pitch.
Spend a bit of money on.
We had to spend a lot of money on that pitch.
I heard. And again, this is where Chris. He's backing it up.
It's all Christopher Holland's money. Yeah,
he's a good one, isn't he?
He is.
I haven't met him yet.
Oh.
Maybe he can be a guest in the future when we get.
He will.
So let's talk about Tier 2 rugby, if we can. I know you can't confirm.
I don't know. Literally, I wish I knew.
And we do too, because it probably would have got some more listeners. Yeah. No, I'm joking. But where are we at now with the rugby club? So the bits you can share,
absolutely.
For everything you've gone through, like you have kept the lights on. The work's been great. The event's been going. You had a Warriors golf day. Had a Warriors clay shoot. All of these things are happening. Rugby's coming back at some point. We're just not able to confirm it yet. So what's the point that we're at the moment?
So the point we're at the moment is undoubtedly we are 100% committed to returning elite level rugby where we can at Sixways, and that being Worcester Warriors. No other team, nobody else. It will be a Worcester Warriors team. However, so where we currently are in the process, we've submitted our formal application to join the new Tier 2 structure of the Championship. We have submitted that application and we are now in the process of waiting to see if we're successful or not. So if we're not successful for 2025, which is to start next September, it doesn't mean to say that that's it and there's no chance again for the future. There is an opportunity that potentially we may be able to reapply to join 2026. We don't quite know what that looks like yet. Of course, if we are successful, that would be the best news ever. It does also show that we've only got 9 months to get ready, which
that's fine for you. You guys can do that.
We can do that. We need everyone else to come to us to do that.
Sure.
Because that's the one thing, you mentioned there, the shoot, the golf day. It's been great to re-engage with people and do these things, but it's shown that there's quite a lot of appetite out there.
Oh, yeah.
And actually a lot of people that want to be involved from the beginning, because from an exposure point of view, and this isn't a sales pitch by any way, but it is from an exposure point of view, you're never going to get the amount of exposure you are where you've just literally risen from the ashes. So people that want to be on board with that, people are talking to us now even without knowing. Even without knowing if it's even a possibility. You are.
I might have had a little chat.
But it's now's the time. We're all or nothing at Sixways.
And
it's
also,
all at once.
And also, you're going to need players for this team to happen. But I know the Jungle Drums are banging, and there's players that are desperate to come back. And I can see why. I couldn't see anywhere else you'd rather be, really. And I get it's been traumatic to a lot of players, and some have gone on and played some higher standards and got into international sides, and it's been the making of some, obviously to the detriment of others, I guess is fair to say. But some have obviously started in business and stuff like that. But I think that people will probably see a lot of faces as well that they actually recognise when this does happen, and I am confident. I think, and you're smart people. I think you must know that you're in a position where you've got a very strong chance. You've got one of the best grounds in the Premiership, let alone Prem 2 or Championship as we kind of know it now. But and facilities and the boxes you guys must tick compared to some others out there. It'd be daft if they didn't. But I guess they just want to know that this isn't going to be another recap of what's happened, and you wouldn't either. But I guess Chris and his credibility and everything that he's done, he has been very honourable. You said the word, it's probably one of his values. Is he from a military background, did I hear, or have I made that up?
Yes, he is. So being honourable is everything to him, really. Honour and integrity is everything, which is what we needed, what we wanted. So he's certainly the right fit in that case. And he's also, he's somebody that he won't overpromise and underdeliver. I think we've had too much of that, which, it's all for being optimistic, and that's great, and we all want to be optimistic. But actually, something that he's really clear about, he's not somebody that's prepared to shout about something unless he 100% knows he can deliver it. So we might seem like we're a bit quiet sometimes, but we'd rather be quiet than lead with false information.
Completely get it. And that's probably why, some of us corporate sponsors and stuff, we haven't seen much of him because... he doesn't have to get into a conversation that he doesn't know the answers to yet, and we're very supportive of that. So, so that's part of it. But also, this might almost lead back into your hospitality industry, hotel knowledge. There's some very big plans, and we're recording this the day after the consultation at Sixways that took place yesterday. So, can you describe? Because I haven't got a picture to show anyone. Can you just describe some of the ideas that are now out there for people to support?
Of course. So there's no kind of secret in the development opportunity at Sixways has been talked about for years. Cecil developed Sixways where it is. He took it to that site. He developed the East Stand, and Cecil wanted a hotel there. For years. Every ownership has kind of seen the opportunity, but never been able to quite get there with it. I think it's undeniable that with the opportunity of the land we have, that is what will make us financially secure for the future. And that's what puts us in a really strong position, because to be able to fund an elite sports team, an elite rugby team, it's no secret again. I think Leonard Curtis released the report earlier this year that kind of at the Premiership clubs, the majority of them were balance sheet insolvent. So it's not a money-making business by any way.
You typically need one healthy investor that's able to kind of...
But the Cecil Duckworths of this year... this time now don't really exist anymore, where he did it for the love of the sport and the love of the city. And, God rest his soul, we need to honour that legacy for him as well. So I think the development's really exciting. There's lots of opportunity. There's lots of positivity around it. So we had about 150 people come last night to the public consultation, which was all really, really positive. The hotel is definitely a feature in there.
Yep.
So multi-storey car park, because obviously where we develop on the land, we've got to make sure we still have some parking, of course. Again, bringing in other sports. So there's been lots of different sports mentioned. I know that in the report last night it showed some paddle, which is fastest growing sport in the UK, I'm told all the time. I see people talking about it everywhere. We've got a medical provision. So that's always been part really kind of sought after. There's obviously a big strain on the NHS, but to have something for athletes as well. So it's that scanning, it's that high performance facility. So it can help the NHS, but it can also help individuals and athletes. So, and again, we are an elite performance centre. Just because we don't currently have a Premiership rugby team, the actual facility that we have at Sixways that you touched on before, it is like no other. And that's why a lot of players, it's really heartwarming actually when you speak to them. They all loved their time at Sixways, but also just the facility, and it's a special place. It's just a special place. And even when we were potentially in a relegation battle and, had lots of challenges, people still loved it and they still wanted to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen a paddle court. So I haven't played it ever in my life, but I hope it's going to arrive, because it seems to be taking off at the moment. Yeah. And so what's your kind of plans looking forward into 2025? What you can say at the moment? Are all the Christmas parties done? Have you got another weekend of them?
Another weekend. We've got 2 more weekends. So we've got Ibiza weekend this weekend. Then next weekend is our mistletoe and martinis. So for our themed Christmas parties. So we go right up until Saturday the 21st of December. Next year, 2025 is going to be big. It's going to be bigger. So splitting it between the two, hopefully it'll be big, because, if we're successful, we'll have not a lot of time to get ready for a pretty special occasion.
I'll help,
which will be great.
I'm there.
Thank you very much, Matt. That would be great. We'll draft you in. But actually, from a Sixways site, Sixways is the venue, Sixways is the site. So everything that happens at Sixways goes into funding the future. Yeah. So there's no deep pockets being filled anywhere. Everything that is made at Sixways goes into running the site, and actually, we're still helped out with that. So we've got to get to a position where we're really financially sustainable, which comes with, of course, volume of business. So we need everyone's help to do that, because as soon as the site is completely financially sustainable, then any profits can be invested into the rugby, and that's only going to help us go from strength to strength. Given wherever we are, whether we're in a competition next year or planning to redo an application to build in the future. So it's going to be really exciting. We've got our base business back to where we were now pre-administration from a non-rugby, which is really amazing. It's been a lot of hard work. The team, Rome wasn't built in a day. It literally wasn't. No. Sixways, it took 2 weeks to lose everything, and it's taken 2 years just to build back what we had. So that gives you a realistic time frame of what we've worked with. But we're there now. So now we've got a really good foundation, a really good base to lift off from. And the conversations we're having with people that want to bring events to us next year, or bring back their conference to us, or new things, is really exciting. It shows that it's working.
Obviously talking about the Nickel & Co landlord seminar that's going to be held there.
I mean, there is nowhere else to be. Come on now.
That's the one you meant, isn't it?
That's the one.
And there's a rugby fixture in January. I'm sure there's other rugby fixtures. Is it Army versus the Police?
Yeah, it's British Police fixtures. So we've actually been named the home venue for them for next year. So we've got 3 fixtures from the British Police, which will be really good. First one starting in January. We've then got the return of the ESFA finals. So we've got and the RFU age grade days. So we've got lots of cool rugby and football events that are taking place through different kind of national organisations. So it will be, again, February and March will be rocking. Our groundsman will be really excited.
That's what we want.
He loves to put the posts up and take them down. Yeah, he does. He's really good. Honestly, I've never met a groundsman yet. Groundsmen have a
demeanour.
They have something about them where, literally, they're scary people, but it's precious. That's their precious product that they look after. But our groundsman, bearing in mind, he had a team of 4. It's just him. So there's one groundsman. And
was he with you when you had grass?
Yeah.
So this is...
No, I think he joined us just after, actually. But he grass, he also does look after our grass pitches as well. Sure. So he has both. So every time we move from like rugby to football or training, the lines have to be remarked, the posts have to be changed. And just because it's artificial, it might not need to be cut, but it has to be brushed. Now, I'd get shocked 'cause it's not the technical term, but the infill that's in it compacts. So he has to keep like fluffing it up to make sure it's the right durability, really, and kind of, I suppose, for impact. So when we're playing rugby, he has to... Yeah. There's something like the amount of hours played on it is the amount of hours work it needs on it. So it's actually a really precious, very precious pitch. Yeah. So to be fair to the groundsman, he's made it all happen. And we were really worried about this last week. So it was ridiculous. In an ideal world, you would have had all rugby at one part of the week, all football at the other part of the week.
Would have been easier.
But of course, dates don't work that way. No. So he's literally put those posts up, taken them down probably about 7 times in the last 9 days. So, and he's a trooper.
There was a King's game against Dean Close, like in a couple of days
on the Thursday.
On the week before,
That's right. Yeah. And literally, we sent him the schedule to say, "Is this possible? What else can we do?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll make it work."
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. So we know we've got a good one, and when he says no, I can't make that work. Generally, there's a reason behind it that it physically can't work.
Oh no! Well, very, very excited about what's going to be happening at Sixways, and very good of you to come on your first podcast today to come and do this. But you've absolutely smashed it, and on behalf of a Warriors fan, someone who's obviously spent money with you guys on a corporate level, like, you guys have been amazing. We all really appreciate all the work you've done. And it is lovely to see the same people, because I think that go forward 2 years from like now, we can then look back and you'll kind of say that those 2 years, they were the toughest 2 years of your life, but actually they kind of made it even better, and they've made it even more success. So I think any business that is thinking about kind of getting involved, you'd be daft not to. Like, and actually, if it helps to make it sustainable early, like commitment up front and all that kind of stuff, subject to something being signed with Tier 2, like, why not just get that commitment in, because you'll kick yourself if it actually, or I would show my hand, I'd kick myself if it happened and I wasn't kind of already at the front. So no, really, really excited. What about Christmas? Are you going to actually switch off then? I know. So this is possibly like, if you have worked in hospitality all your life, that is obviously always going to be all the key nights, every kind of weekend. You're committed to making everyone else's night go well and have a success, which you do fantastically well and with the rest of your team. But what's your plans for Christmas? Do you get to switch off? Yeah,
I plan to sleep. It'll be great. No, it's really good, actually. So we're going to be off from Christmas Eve. And we've got a full week off then, which is really lovely. So we're back on the 2nd of January. And it's really lovely, actually. The guys have worked so hard, and we all have. So to have a bit of downtime with our families, with our loved ones, will be really lovely. And you never know, if we're lucky, it might be the last year we get to do that, because, of course, working in sport, working in hospitality, you will a Christmas fixture. If we're lucky enough to have that, we love it's just a great time of year to have sport. So we also want to make the most of it this year, have that downtime when we can.
Get ready for the next one. Right, there's always one question I end the Just Local podcast with. You've lived here for a long time. Just, is there anything, or what is something that you love about Worcestershire? Take Sixways out your mind now. We're thinking about the bigger picture, Worcestershire. I don't know which part of Worcestershire you live in, but like, what do you love about Worcestershire?
Oh gosh, I do love Worcestershire. I am born and bred in Worcester, so I am biased from that perspective. Worcester, for me, we're a city, and we're proud to be a city, and we're a small city. But what I love is we've got that real community spirit in Worcester. And I know that probably sounds like a cliche and everyone can say it, but corporately, people like the Worcester Bid, they do such a fantastic job in the city centre. They do such a fantastic job connecting people, and the investments that they put through and the initiatives that take place, the local charities, the local businesses, the enterprises. And then from a kind of a sports and social level, Worcester itself, taking Sixways out, we're still so fortunate. We've got cricket. We've got football. We had basketball, the race course. To have all of those things in one little city. Actually, and that's what I love about Worcester, because I think we just surprise people. And anyone that comes into Worcester that hasn't been here before are blown away with its beauty and everything that we have to offer.
Very true. Yeah, I've got someone who's looking at a massive build-to-rent scheme at the moment, and it's because of his time he spent in Worcester that he considers it as a city that really is a bit untapped at the moment, like and a bit of a jewel in the crown. So we can't wait to see you in Sixways Stadium with rugby being played on the pitch with blue and gold shirts on. It won't be long. Thank you, Laura, for coming in to spend some time with us today on the Just Local podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And when you do get the next bit of news, we'll be keen to have you back in, if you wouldn't mind being able to come in and share. Maybe bring Chris along as well and see if he's happy to...
Well, we've got to see if it's good or bad news first, haven't we, Matt?
was probing. So that is it, the end of the Just Local podcast. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please give it a like and a follow. And if you follow us, I'm sure you'll find out when the next guest is on the show.